So I've just kind of been researching and playing around and looking at different fonts for the title of our film, The Unconventional Truth. I found a fair few which I think may work well, but they all kind of have points that will work and maybe won't work. The first one that you can see here, the reason I liked it was because the way it like flows really well and kind of gelled together, and the writing was kind of like old-fashioned. And I like the way all the letters kind of like joined together, so it kind of shows like you need to piece the puzzle of the film together, but when you get to the end you can see how it all kind of fits with each other, so it matches the writing. The points I didn't really think this would work well was because it's kind of almost makes you think more of a romantic comedy than a film noir, because it kind of is too kind of like scripted and kind of like as though it was in a letter, like a love letter, so I think maybe not for this, but maybe for a slogan it could work quite well. The second one, which you can see here, I kind of kept it similar to the first one that you saw, but it's more bolder, so it's a lot, so when you look at it, it actually kind of catches your eye more, so it's not such timid writing. But then again, it's the same kind of problem that it's too flowy and may have to give the audience the wrong idea as to what genre the film is in. So perhaps once again, the slogan might work quite well, because the slogan that we're having, it kind of links to a romantic film, so it may kind of work, but I'll have to test it. The third one that you can see, again, is similar to the previous two, but it's more kind of like, the reason I liked it was because it's kind of like jerky, like it looks like someone's hand's been shaken when they're writing it, so it reveals a sense of panic, which kind of relates to our film, because there's a lot of like short jump cuts and all these quick scenes and lots of enigma codes, so I kind of like the idea of like kind of like nervousness within the writing and the font, because it kind of links to certain parts of our film. But I kind of didn't like it because I thought it looks a bit too kind of Shakespearean in a way, like kind of like script writing, and that's not really the era that we're going for within our film, or the genre either, because it's not really like playwright and everything, so I kind of ruled this one out, I think. The fourth one that you can see, I actually am really fond of. I think it's really cool the way it's kind of like a typewriter type thing, and the way that kind of when you look at police files and they like stamp it, that's kind of the writing you get. It's like a kind of authoritative style, and I like the way that the letters are all in bold and all in uppercase and none are lowercase, because it makes it completely stand out against the other bits that will be on the poster, and it kind of has like the police kind of like businessman feel to it, which kind of links to the characters that we have, like the businessman. But the thing I don't like about it is that perhaps looks more of kind of like a crime film, and because it kind of is very police, like a policey effect, so maybe it's too much of a change from the film noir that we're going for. The next one that you can see, again, I really like it. I think it's a nice mixture of like all of the previous fonts you've seen, the four that you've seen previously, and mixing them all together, because it's all in uppercase, which I really think looks good. But the way it's like slightly thinner writing makes it look more timid and kind of like breakable, which in our film, like, we see how corruption occurs with the femme fatale and her dad, and also with the relationship between Jake and the femme fatale called Scarlett. So I think it worked really well. And I did a tester poster, and I actually used this writing, so I liked it on the poster, but then again I'm going to redo my posters because I wasn't 100% sure, but I may use it again depending on if I can get to look right. The things that I kind of didn't like about it though probably be how it's not, like, although it's a nice font and it kind of links well, it's not particularly striking to look at. So when you first look at the poster, I want to be drawn to like obviously the picture first and then to the title, but I kind of thought when I made my poster, my practice one, you were more drawn to like the slogan first. For some reason, I'm not sure why, I asked some people as well, and that's exactly what they thought, which is why I kind of want to change it, perhaps make the writing change out more. The next one I wasn't particularly keen on, but I thought it could work in a way. I like the way that the writing's quite tall and quite slim, kind of gives like a slick edge to the film, makes it kind of look quite sophisticated and suave. But then again, the reason I didn't like it was because I thought it kind of looked too everyday, similar, like normal writing, and nothing that particularly stood out to me in particular. The next one I liked because I kind of thought it looked quite cinematic, like the way when you see films like coming on to your telly and like being in a brochure, latest releases, you kind of see this type of writing always think as a title. So that's what stood out to me, kind of like links to where our film will be shown in, obviously in the cinema, and perhaps used as a way like linking the two together, so it kind of makes it more memorable for the audience if they're looking at a leaflet because they're used to the type of writing. But then again, I wasn't sure because I thought it was quite like a standard, box standard font that many people may choose to use. The next font that you can see, again, I wasn't sure because it's very similar to the previous font that you've seen. It's just basically a bigger version. But then I like the way that the letters are quite widely spread out because it kind of adds a sense of kind of like bulk, like the film, like you have to see it the whole way through to completely understand what it's about. Whereas the other writings that I've seen have been quite thin, so it shows perhaps it's quite like an easy film. The next font I really liked as well, but I think if I were to use this font I'd probably make it bold because I don't like the thinness of the lettering, but I also again like the way that it's in upper cases, and it looks kind of like, it looked like a poster that I'd seen before for a film. I'm not sure what this was, I'm going to do some more research and find what it is, and I just always remember like I quite liked it in the way it kind of fitted together, and although it looks kind of like Shakespearean like the other one did, it's more in like a modern and up-to-date way, which is what I kind of like, because the way we're twisting a film noir to bring it to modern being a film noir, I thought it kind of fitted in well with the idea behind our film, but not perhaps necessarily with the film itself. The next font I like because once again it looks quite typewritery, which kind of links to the detective side of it, like Jake playing the detective role. But by then having this font, it kind of might mislead the audience as and make it think that it's kind of like a detective crime film when it's not. So I kind of want to have something a little bit more sophisticated within it to kind of make it stand out a lot more. But once again, for the slogan, it might be nice. I have a typewriter, like he could have written the slogan, like it could have been what's in his mind, if you know what I mean. So that could work. And finally, the last font I found is, although I really liked it, I think this one has the perfect combination of height and width of letters, because I think it's bold but not too bold and not too slim to not stand out enough. I think it's perfect for standing out, but I don't like the how close the letters are together, because I think it kind of makes it seem a bit crushed. Like if I didn't make the title big enough, which I will, but if I did not, I think you'd kind of like misread it at first. Like you might read it and it doesn't like make sense. Like when I'm reading it now, you can't really understand what it's saying until you look really closely. And also the reasons I didn't like it was because I think it looks kind of like westernised, like it looks like it should be made for a western film, genre of film. So perhaps I'm not 100% sure on this one either. But overall, I think that the fonts I found are probably the best fitted that I could think of myself to go with our film, and overall I'm quite happy with the research that I've done, because I think that perhaps I can find a way of perhaps putting all of these fonts together and finding one on the internet that will flow them all together so I can get the actual look of the font that I really want to.